Hey, now is the vibrate. The rate at which we're vibing. We're in the dark, y'all. But you could kind of see me. Like a little bit. What's up? Thank you for that like, first person. Oh, wait. I was about to say this thing almost took me out of my live video. I'll say what's up. Let me know if the audio sounds good. Obviously, I'm not too worried about the visual, but the audio. Can you hear me? Is there any skipping in the way I talk? I don't care about the little skipping flash and the way it looks, but you could hear me. You could hear me. And it's mostly this kind of almost like a video that I would do live on Instagram. But I'm like, I need to vibe out on the YouTube a little more. What's up, Lily in the Valley? In fact, speaking of the valley, like the little prayer, as I walk through the valley of the shadows of death, I took a look at my life and realized it. Cause I've been laughing so lonely. Even my mama think that my mind is gone. Shout out to Coolio with Dangerous Minds. With old boy singing with the little smoke in his face while he's sweating bricks. Tell me why are we so blind to see that the ones we hurt are you and me? Ooh, that takes me to the next point. The ones we hurt is you and me. Realizing that it's all us in every moment. Vincent Lacey, what's up? Alright, appreciate that feedback. Remember, y'all hit the like button. No help with the algorithms or the vibes. Matter of fact, shout out to whoever just sent that what you call that, super chat. Appreciate that. Also got the links for donations in the description as well. Appreciate any and all abundance. Uh, Acid it plays more so on the mental realm. I mean, it does again because of the all is mind in the Hermetic principles. The seven Hermetic principles. All is mind. So it's gonna have some type of spiritual connection in some way, form, or fashion. It's breaking down, what's going on in our consciousness in that sense of it. But yeah, I definitely say the acid taps more into the mental realm. Not to say that it's not spiritual. Everything is spiritual. You know what I'm saying? Even for the shit that we claim is not spiritual. If I spit on the ground right now, that is spiritual. You know, just like magic. Magic is everything you do. If I spin around in a circle and spit a boog out of my nose, you know what I'm saying, and say that's for abundance and wealth for the rest of my life, and I align with that, then that's what that ritual is, spinning around and spitting a boog out of my nose. You know, it's definitely, uh, what you make, because everything you do is magic. Like everything you do is ritual. That's why it'd be so important to be focused in our intentions, of what we dealing with and how we dealing with it. I mean, acid, you said, is a lower vibrational way of tapping into meditation. I mean, again, I always tell people you could tap into these realms through meditation. Of course, like any and all things starts with ourselves first and foremost. Like, fuck, everybody could stop eating right now. Like, you could stop using crystals right now. You don't have to use DMT and ayahuasca. You know what I'm saying? Like, it all goes back to us, you know, it's just the aspect of us being in this physical realm and choosing to have a certain experience. And some of us have, different karmic energies we're playing out. You know what I'm saying? That's what's coming up to the forefront, too. Also, right now, I'm getting a lot of, that aspect of making sure we're being true and authentic to our, who we are, and making sure we understand what is our soul purpose in this lifetime, and understanding where are we transitioning to after this lifetime. Again, because there's no good or bad. Some of us might want to be, because as much as I done been there before where I done explain these things, and like sometimes I have a hint of that, because you could tell the undertone of a voice. Like I might say like, oh yeah, you could come back to this realm, but then I say it in a way that makes it sound like it's something bad. Or I say, or you could be in the void for forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever, you know what I'm saying? And I could make that sound like it's something bad as well, but if I have done, you know, well, first and foremost, look, you accountable for not just listening to everything I say and taking it and run with it. You gotta take what resonate, leaves what don't. That's your accountability as a listener. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't have to. Again, this is me expressing myself, and a lot of this is therapy for me to be able to express these things. And it just helps that a lot with me expressing myself, that a lot of people could learn from it. And gain insight from it. You know, uh, where was I? Darn it. I was speaking on being and just the explanation of like knowing what's going on in this lifetime. You know what I'm saying? Knowing our soul purpose, and also knowing what we transition into after this. And it's to each his own. Like one person may feel like going back into that void, and not to say that you're going right back to that void state right after this lifetime, but again, you have the option to continuously grow and go into the high realms to a place where you could, go back into the void in that state, or you could, reincarnate back into this realm because you feel like this realm is fun. Again, just like going to school, like some people like, bruh, I like the fifth grade and I don't want to leave the fifth grade, bruh. I like the teachers, I'm comfortable here. I'm used to these situations, because again, it's to wherever you're at in your growth, you know what I'm saying? And also the notion of one man's God is another man's devil. And that's not to look at one against the other, like, oh, the devil and God is two different. Like, that's all the same thing. It's just, again, like perception, like some people may feel like fuck coming back reincarnated. Some people like fuck going back to uh, the void state of oneness and being consciousness without experience, having a physical experience. Because even going into the higher realms, the experience is not as physical as being in the earthly realm, but it's still like a unique individual expression nonetheless. Just like I talk about politicking to be a planet, it's like that's still a quote unquote individual experience, like because you're being a planet or a constellation, something of that nature. It's still again uniquely an individual experience. It's just, again, you have more of an understanding of the oneness, and also again that wholeness of being, you know what I'm saying, like understanding the whole aspect, and how being source is being whole, you know what I'm saying? It's the positive and negative. It's Sophia Pistis and it's your Yadala brought, you know what I'm saying? Regardless if the story makes it sound like, oh, Yadala brought is this evil being who created this realm to keep people in it forever and ever. you know, like that's storylines and stuff like that. Now, don't get it twisted. That's not to say that there aren't, because that's another balance that's been coming up too. Is to realize to have awareness. Don't fear monger yourself, but yes, there are beings that feed off of your energy and look to keep you, you know, in a human state of being and keep you in this reincarnation cycle. But again, it's just part of the makeup of of the game, and a part of the makeup of how this thing works. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, being source, we done played out different ways of like how can we create this certain reality. Again, they done took it and turned it into a story of like, hey, Sophia Pistis created this being that created his own realm. But I mean, if you really want to look at it, that's all us. And those stories are just created for you to be able to grasp these concepts with your human mind. Mokara, blessings. Vincent Lacey, blessing. Straight Panther, what's up? What's up? Rastafarian, what's up? And also, don't forget about the commercial break. Uh, the 3 for 3 alls. I got the link in in my bio. This is a real thing. The real thing. This is no fake thing. Is not no gimmick. Not like you gotta answer 1,000 questions in order to get this. You get three alls for $3. Three bottles of essential alls, real authentic essential alls, for $3 by using the promo code that I have listed down below. So if you're interested in that, getting three alls for $3. But yep, plant based heal one piece peace. Oh, that's too broad of a question, but that's what I be realizing too. Like I be setting myself up for to some extent to so don't feel like if I don't answer your question, don't feel like you just asked the wrong question or a bad question. It just may be something that don't align with something that I feel like speaking on in that moment, in that sense of breaking down, because I may have done multiple videos on it or something of that nature, you know. But I do realize that I set myself up for that by calling a video Q&A and open vibe, so I get it. I'll just say selenite energy is great for raising the vibration, great for removing or should I say creating a more positive space or and just more of a high vibrational space. Let's just say that, you know what I'm saying? Because again, when we go to saying positive and negative, people could get caught in that little, oh, one side is good and the other side is bad. Like, nah, think about it if you was like a being that like to eat off of other beings, you know? The beings who would come to tell everybody like, hey, stop feeding these parasitic energies. Like they could look at you as a fucking demon, you know what I'm saying? Like look at these fucking demons making people aware that we eating off of them, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a perception, with a lot of that. No, but yeah, selenite good for connecting with the angelic realm, good for boosting lucid dreaming, good for inciting astral travel and being more visionary with the third eye, the mind's eye, the first eye. Semen, tone of voice. Yeah. Do you enjoy it? Do you feel that cloud over your mind like a fog after smoking it? Uh, with the herb definitely, again, with anything, it's like it's all on how you use it. And again, I just not too long ago made a video about intentions and focus, like like what kind of intentions you setting, like clearing the herb, you know what I'm saying? Because you may have got it from a source where it done touched all kind of hands or been in places that got certain energies that may not be beneficial to your your soul growth in that sense of it. And in any aspect, though, I feel like whatever you deal with or come across is a whereas how you learn from it, because I would say almost everything could be beneficial to your soul growth, even the trauma, because again the trauma is a part of the experience for you to learn from it, but it's when you get lost and stuck in that trauma, and then, I mean, you just have to go back into the reincarnation cycle till you realize like how to get that shit transmuted. I mean, again, I mean, I say shit and use these words, but I mean, I'm expressing it, so you just gotta know to not take everything I say so literal. But transmute it, and making sure your heart is light as a feather, or your energy field is light as a feather. Because again, if we having a party, think about having a party somewhere, you know what I'm saying? And just like like everything exists on the level of like how you know things exist on the astral realm and in the higher realms, but like certain clubs don't let like people under 18 in the club because they know like people under 18 be having all these heavy energies and be all over sexual and wanting to express testosterone overly and this and that, so they make the club like 24 years old and up, you know what I'm saying? And think about yourself, you growing, you know what I'm saying? Or just like again, are you being 18 and you no longer want no little children at your parties, you know what I'm saying? It's the same thing, like as beings, uh like if we on a higher realm, a higher again, higher for lack of a better word, not being better than nobody, or in the realms under that not being like less of in that sense of it. But like when you in a realm or dimension that vibrates higher, you know, uh, you wouldn't want somebody in that realm stinking up the vibration. You know what I'm saying? Like throwing things off within that realm. You know, we work. You know, I don't use the word hard, but we work. Very efficiently to make sure that we, you know, make sure this realm is vibrating on a certain frequency. And you know, if we go into that realm still thinking about, oh, what about my car bill? Like imagine somebody, still worrying about those things in the higher realms. You know, like we like, bruh, this mine. And then with things being the veil being even more thinner, somebody else's energy is popping up in your field just as much as when you were in the physical. You know, we all probably wouldn't want to be around that energy that's still worrying about paying a car note and oh, I wonder if my children still love me and this and that. And that's not to clown nobody in that sense of it, but that's what keep souls in the reincarnation process, or what allows for a soul to get stuck in the middle, or like to become a ghost in that sense, like because ghosts, I would say, is energies that's holding on to the physical realm, extremely tightly. Hence why ghost stories and all that always points back to a ghost being in a house. A ghost always still talking as if he living or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, ooh, this is my house and this and that. You know what I'm saying? It's because whenever that person was living, they felt like that was the end all be all, like having that house or having whatever it is, like being in a certain area, so that energy stays in that area. You know what I'm saying? Like a crackhead that loves to be in the street. That crackhead soul gonna roam that street because that was the end all be all for his energy. So he like like flowing in that little area. Like I think yeah flowing in that little area, and that's the same type of little thing. Like your energy kind of get stuck if you hold on to that energy field for too tight. Oh,
You making a video?
yep, I'm making a video right now. But and I know this probably all stem from you talking about the herb and me answering that question. But again, everything is with intentions and focus. Like what type of intentions you put in. That's Cole. That's my nephew in the background. Say what's up. I ain't gonna say what's up.
I just need the person just to say something. Did
But
they just say one thing?
yep.
Did they say something?
Oh, they saying a lot of things.
Are they spamming? They had to spam.
Some people be spamming. But not.
Well, you should watch Flamingo. Flamenco. Yes.
But what was I? And again, that's back in what I was speaking to. Again, like haunted house and the ghosts and that level. But also back to the herb thing. It is all on. Everything has a resonance with you for a certain moment in your growth. The live stream interrupted for a second. I'm back, y'all. I'm back. Can you tell about? But yeah, like with any of that, it's like what you feel resonate. Cause that's another thing that's important, and hence why it's important to know your soul purpose. Because again, it may be for you to, you know, uh, drink for so often or smoke for so often, or whatever. You gotta know what's in alignment for you. You know what I'm saying, within this lifetime. Because again, there's no good and bad. It's all about experience. Whenever everything was one and didn't have no physical aspect, whenever everything was one and didn't have no physical aspect, you didn't have like everything was one. Like imagine if we all look the same, talk the same. It wouldn't even be no point, but just by hearing me say it like that, you understand why we each uniquely look different, and why they got like a opposing side, quote unquote. It's like again, like I brought up the analogy for playing basketball, football. You ever threw the football to yourself all day, like just running and catching the football by yourself, like that. Imagine that, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, all right, creating some type of, opposition, offense and defense, and hence why a lot of, everything get created from the aspect of, the occult or esoteric aspect of things. And again, occult just mean that which is hidden. Esoteric mean the inner meaning. But like putting the ball in the hoop, that's like, putting something through the portal, through the tourist field. When they kicking the ball through the little thing for the field goal, that's like going through the portals or through the pillars, Jakim and Boaz are the masculine and feminine energies. It's like all points back to that aspect, but in order to play a game, and make it fun, like playing hide and go seek by yourself. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, again, like that's the whole thing, and that's when you start to realize why you get to a certain level and you like give thanks even for like the what some may call the craziness or whatever in this realm, because again, it was all created to have an experience, like being thankful for the shit. Because if shit didn't stink, roses wouldn't smell so good, or the essential oils wouldn't smell so good if they didn't have shit in this realm that stink, It is all that, But about angel, I do not know much about like the angel aspect or that angel you asked me about. Uh, all right, Straight Panther, I got you, bro. I attend to that as soon as I get off of this IG video. We'll get with that. Let's see, since you cool, and the donation be in between 20 to 25. It depends on which one. The ones that have sandalwood in it, along with the obsidian and coral, that'll be the ones that'll be 20. But the ones that's just like coral, black obsidian, and graphic feldspar, they'll be 15 plus the plus shipping. But but yeah. All right. Oh, there we go. Matter of fact, you enjoying? Do you feel like a cloud over your mind? Yeah, but again, like with the smoke and herb amplifies things. It could sway things in a way that makes you feel, like, oh man, something is harming me or something, is unbeneficial. Or it could sway in the energy of like being beneficial. Like I done smoke herb and then got into like almost like a out of body experience type of vibe. Or like smoking the herb and then doing my breathing techniques and going to a trance for meditation. It's all how you use it, or compared to like, oh, I'm just about to, like say for instance, though, if I want to do a video, like I know within my heart, I want to do a video and I want to do it a certain type of way and with a certain level of efficiency, that I know that herb may disrupt, in my reality for me, you know what I'm saying? And then I go and still smoke, you know what I'm saying? Then that smoke would kind of maybe disrupt things compared to like when I do my IG lives and I know like, oh, I'm stepping into this IG live, you know I want to smoke and vibe with the people, that's different, so it comes off different. But if I know that I'm lining up to deliver this message without smoking the herb, then it'll have a certain energy to it, you know but I'm constantly finding little moments to do little rituals. And matter of fact, right now more than ever, I've been like just applying, what I'm learning. Like, 'cause that's another aspect that's coming up strong, is to apply what we learning. Like, not just having the book knowledge of it, but actually like applying these things. So I've been sitting down and doing a lot of chakra meditations. You know, working to get my vision and which I see too. Again, another thing, to each his own on our growth, and not to compare ourselves to anyone else on our growth. You know, you may have somebody that talk about, hey man, I'm cutting flips in the astral planes, bro, and this and that, and I saw this vividly. You know, and you may not be to that level yet, but don't look at yourself as like, oh shit, man, I'm messing up because I'm not at this point that this person is at. You know what I'm saying? Because even that comparison in itself makes you feel like, you know, you're lower in that sense because you are comparing yourself. You know, again, to each his own on your unique path. You know what I'm saying? Like, uh, you know, this information was always existing whenever I was, again, drinking 40s and popping Zans. And then I just stepped to a place of getting out of that, you know, getting from that dimension and stepping into the information. But, you know, it was never to compare myself. Like, it wasn't like no, like, all right, you got to be here at the age of 20. You got to be here at the age of 30, and that's for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, it's a unique vibe for, you know, for each unique soul, you know, in that sense of it. So, you know, growing without comparison, you know, like without comparing yourself and knowing that you are where you should be and knowing that you already won, like you're already a winner, you already won. And not only WON, but ONE, you know what I'm saying? Like you already won, you already whole, you know what I'm saying? Because again, that's why a lot of things get promoted. Uh, like in the vibe of Darwinism and evolution, like you gotta constantly evolve, or you gotta work to do these type of things to evolve. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, all you gotta do is just again, work on becoming your greatest version, in the sense of just make sure you're transmuting inner trauma, like transmuting lower vibrations. And again, to each his own on what pace you're going at, to each his own on where you're going after this. You know what I'm saying? Like again, some people already signed up to know that they gonna be reincarnating back into this realm. You know what I'm saying? While some of us may be going into a higher plane. You know, to each his own. You know, and there's no bad or good. You know, but some of us again realize that we've been reincarnating in this cycle, and now we have the awareness to, you know, uh, move on. And matter of fact, or there's that option too where you could reincarnate, but reincarnate with memory. You know what I'm saying? Like to have awareness when you come back here. You know what I'm saying? Because I always make the joke of like a baby transition, a quote unquote baby, but they ain't nothing but a baby bodysuit. You know, like. Uh, a baby bodysuit coming into this realm in reality, and then, you know, say for instance, uh, a transition like after a year, or what we call a year in this realm, or after a couple of months. You know, it was because that soul chose to, like, hey, let me see if I could come down into the earthly plane for about, a couple months, and see if I could still remember everything, or let me come into this realm for a few months just to see how it feels. You know what I'm saying? Just to have that experience. You know what I'm saying? Because again, it's about the experience. And not labeling it as good or bad, right or wrong, in that sense of it. You know. Yeah, that's very important too, grounding, you know, using meditations, again, like applying what we learning, like you could visualize yourself being a mountain. Or a lot of people first resonate with the tree aspect. Visualize yourself being a tree, and visualize your roots growing deep into the ground, as far and as deep as possible. And then, seeing the branches sprout up to the top. My queen presented this meditation to me at some point, but I also had like my own, how they say, that rendition of it, my own little aspect of me doing it. But getting that, again, a tree could only grow as high as its roots. You know, like if your roots is not strong and not deep into the ground, if you're not strongly grounded, then when a strong wind come over, you topple over. And just like a mountain grows so high to the point of it having snow at the top of it. You know what I'm saying? Think about that. Like, because it's so grounded, like it has such a sturdy base, which allows for it to go that high. And also with the analogy of using a ladder, like, If you're using a ladder and it's all flimsy at the bottom, you ain't even gonna wanna take 3 steps up that ladder, let alone the fact that if you did or if you tried, you would fall over the higher you would get because it's not sturdy at the bottom compared to if you had a ladder that was extremely sturdy at the bottom, allowing for you to climb up higher and higher. And as I'm talking about the ladder, talk about Jacob's ladder and climbing up, and also I saw the number 33, the 33 spinal columns in the spine, and that little story of the Christ energy is like the Christ all moving from the root chakra all the way up to the to the crown, of the 33 vertebrae, and hence why they got 33 degrees in masonry, as well. Like it's all connected to Solomon's temple, or the temple, your body, like the temple is your body. Those checkered black and white floors is the duality, or the positive and negative, or the masculine and feminine that exists within, within the temple, you know. But yeah, in order to climb up high, you have to be very grounded, and it has to be a balance. You don't want to be too in your lower chakras, and you don't want to be too in your higher chakras. You want to be balanced between both, and hence why the heart chakra has that symbol of the Star of David. You know, to you know, the Star of David, the 6-pointed star, representing again the upper triangle represents the fire and air and the masculine energy. The triangle point down represents the earth and the water, representing the feminine energy, and bringing both together. And I use the name quote unquote Star of David, but the 6-pointed star, you know, because again, back to analogies and stories like uh, fucking Solomon and David never existed. Again, the English language didn't even exist in the past for those people to exist with those names, you know, let alone as borrowed stories of allegory to, again, to retell these stories, and like the book of Enoch tapping into the aspect of astrology a little more, and hence why they didn't want it in there, because it would point to it more obviously as well. And Solomon's magic, if you go look up the lesser key of Solomon and look at Solomon's magic, it all has to deal with sigils that's connected to the planets, and how to move the planetary energies. Hence why it was called like a wise man, like because he was tapped into the energies. But that was just again, an allegory of just the energy signature, or that archetype energy of being aware of, your bodysuit and how it works. Because in order to be masterful over the body, so you gotta understand everything that's connected with it and connected with being in this realm. Because again, yes, this bodysuit is temporary, you know but that doesn't mean you have to hate your bodysuit in order to like, say for instance, if you want to transition into a higher plane of existence, you don't have to hate your bodysuit. You know what I'm saying? Because a part of dealing with your soul purpose is being grounded in your humanity enough, or just, should I say, grounded in your bodysuit enough to carry out your soul purpose. Because again, we don't want to get you don't want your temporary human egoic mind to keep you here either. You know what I'm saying? But again, to each his own. Because if you do allow for it to have you reincarnate, that was for a reason. Like it was obvious that you need to come back in order to learn more. You know what I'm saying? And have a deeper understanding about things. But yeah, but matter of fact, and again, he said, with the meditation though, like again, like seeing, visualize yourself. And again, another thing too, you don't always have to be in a lotus position. Sometimes you could just be sitting down in a chair. You could just be sitting down in a chair, sitting in a lotus position. You know, uh, and it depends on the type of visualization you're doing. Or you could be laying down. But again, shit, or standing up. With your eyes closed. But if you're really trying to get into a deep trance, yeah, I wouldn't suggest standing up. But visualizing again, like roots growing out of your feet and going deep into the ground like a tree, and then also visualizing coming up, the branches going up and out. You know what I'm saying, and connecting to that collective consciousness, so to speak. Connecting with the oneness of consciousness in that sense of it. Yeah, Snowflake Obsidian, uh, uh, but just Black Obsidian in general. I'm working with Snowflake Obsidian right now. That definitely helps to move past trauma, and Obsidian in general just helps to bring up truths. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, truths that we be trying to run from. Which again, I always give thanks for working with Obsidian. That's another thing. Again, like with the crystals and talking about the bodysuit, like this is a temporary experience, but I'm still, working with the crystals, like even the trees. Like the trees is a part of hologram, but they also represent the organic aspect, of like again, what's in the higher realms is projected in this realms, and the trees are just you know, within this holographic experience, a representation of that divine energy, that source energy, you know, uh, that organic energy that's untampered with, unlike machinery and stuff like that that was created like created within the game. You know what I'm saying? Like you have the game itself that's a creation, but then you got stuff that was created within the game. You know what I'm saying? Because again, like uh, a lot of us had that our hands in creating this realm again, like having that primordial essence. And again, it's not about nobody being better than nobody else or anything of that nature. It's just again, some of us are a part of that primordial source energy, and hence why again all the everything goes back to mythology too. Mythology always points, and go check out my video with snakes on the plane is one of them that I could just always go to. Well, again, like it's always this explanation of like this energy from the abyss is probably gonna either be represented as a female, as some type of serpent, or some type of primordial waters. You know what I'm saying? That's considered to be evil, and then there's always a god, like Marduk in what that is in the Sumerian aspect in Babylonia. That points back to you know again, like what they call a demiurge, or the gods that come after, like Zeus and all that. Zeus represents the gods that's over this earthly plane. Because again, they don't hold nothing back at saying, because even in the what that was, Clash of the Titans, with Zeus like, oh man, we gotta instill some fear in these humans to make sure they worshiping us and feeding us, basically. Like we're not feeding and we're not eating if they're not worshiping us. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. And the Titans are those ancient energies, like the Chronos aspect, the primordial aspect, like Set in Kemet and pre-dynastic Kemet. That's pointing to that primordial energy. You know what I'm saying, from the primordial source that existed before the gods within this plane. And again, it's not for us to create this good or bad, right or wrong situations, just having an understanding of what's going on, having the awareness of what's going on without fear mongering ourselves, and without the aspect of, you know, uh, trying to pick a side. But at the same time, as I say that, though, do what resonates with you you know, for the most part, when I say free will, for lack of a better word, a free will universe, in a sense where although we chose, what was going to happen before we came down here, and we improvising as we go, you know, uh, to each his own on what you signed up for within this lifetime. You know what I'm saying? So, take what resonate and leave what don't. You don't have to listen to me. In that sense of it. But that's the deeper aspect. Because matter of fact, that's John D. and Edward Kelly, I think his name was. You know, in what, like 1500s, that started channeling the Enochian beings, which the Book of Enoch again deals with the archangels, or the beings of this realm, like the archons or the archangel archons, you know, uh, within this realm that feed off of the energy within this realm, you know, and just in general, you want you're not worshiping anything, to those who it may resonate with, you know what I'm saying? Like you want to make sure you're not worshiping to anything external, you know. Again, like knowing that that energy of source moves through you and that you don't have to worship anything. And matter of fact, especially again being that primordial essence, that primordial essence existed before they even had words to apply to some of these deities, you know what I'm saying? Before they could even be the name Zeus and the name uh, Horus and Osiris and Krishna and Shiva and all these different Buddha and Quetzalcoatl and uh, what's her name, Kuan Yin in Asian mythology. Just before these names even existed, the primordial source and the primordial essence existed, and you could tap into these energies within you and activate these energies within you. But again, making sure you're aware to have intentions with working with these energies and having a certain focus of like how you want to work with these energies, and again having that intention set, like activating that inner Ogun, or that inner Saturn energy, or that inner Kuan Yin, or inner Lakshmi, or inner Kali Ma, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But tapping into it from an aspect of realizing that it's inside of you, and you could tap into it, and have a certain intention and focus when tapping into it, you know. Like that's the whole aspect of, the and again, like a lot of us realizing, more and more right now the importance of uh, again, aligning with our soul purpose. And the video I put out earlier, again, speaking to having that inner dialogue, like strengthening the connection with your inner source and your inner guidance system, and talk, because the higher self is you. Like you are your higher self, you know what I'm saying? And then speaking to that aspect and connecting with it and asking questions like, hey, why did I come back to earth in this lifetime, and what kind of karmic energy I'm working out, and you know again, waiting to see, after you ask these questions, you may get it like come through as a clear cognizant thought right there in that moment, or because you're not really skilled at listening to your inner voice, it'll show itself to you within the next few days by certain situations playing out and giving you little insights like that, but again, having that inner dialogue is very key. And again, the visualization aspect, also no judgment. You don't want to be judgmental, and the judgment starts with yourself first and foremost. Like the reason why you may judge that person is unawoke, or whatever, for lack of a better word, but like that person not woke, is because you would judge yourself if you were in that position. You know what I'm saying? Like if I was like that, I would feel like I'm unwoke. Or again, like if you judging a fat person, that, because again, that starts with self judgment, because you're basically saying, if I was fat, I would judge myself, or you know if I was this being, I would judge myself. So again, like that's where the external judgment comes from. you know like it comes from within. Everything starts from within and goes outwardly, and again, realizing the balance of this reality of, it's the inner realm, you know what I'm saying? There's some things externally that represent certain aspects of the whole, but not technically representing you as a straight up reflection. Like, again, like some of these parasitic energies that may try to feed off of you, you know. You may not necessarily be being a parasite. Matter of fact, being the opposite. Like you working on your spiritual growth. 'Cause that's another thing too. You realize, like, a lot of you do, like, you realize, like, the more you start working on yourself, the more certain little vices and certain little things will come around to try to throw you off. you know I use the example of the Truman Show. That movie, spoke to a higher aspect. Every time Truman starts to become aware that, bro, my whole life is some type of fucking TV show or something, like being in this plane of existence, like he started to realize that. And every time he would start to realize that, because again, everybody watching, so the director of the show, who's over that realm or that reality, like an archon, you know what I'm saying? Like when Truman would realize, like, oh shit, everybody, like, acting all mechanical. And I saw the mailman dressed up as the fucking milkman the other day, and then I saw him as the fucking next door neighbor the day before that. Like, started to realize, like, shit, these people are all actors and shit like that, you know. As he would start to catch these realizations, and the director of the show would realize they, all was on keyed up on microphone, and he had this friend, this dude that was introduced to him as his friend since he was a youngster, you know, to come in, and he always say, hey, Truman, like, let's have a beer or something like that, like, let's drink, you know what I'm saying? He always show up with a certain type of vice, you know. And again, that's not to say that again, smoking herb or drinking is bad or good. It's just understanding though how these things could be used within our realm of reality to, you know, sway us from the alignment with our, you know, with our soul purpose and our inner source. But again, that's that whole aspect in the example within that movie. Again, those vices being presented as soon as he was starting to become aware. And that's just like with a lot of us in our group, like the more we become aware, you know the more a certain energy be like, oh man, let's smoke something. Like, you just finished quit smoking, like you just declared to yourself, like, hey, I'm about to chill out with this smoking. And then somebody show up like, bro, I just got a pound of herb, bro, you want a half ounce, bro, I just give it to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it'll roll like that. And again, no good or bad, right or wrong. It's just having that understanding, and again, back to knowing thyself on the growth. You know what I'm saying? And realizing uh, how much we should be strengthening our own inner guidance, and again, having these inner dialogues and moving without judgment. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no judgment towards anybody. Like, I may not favor the thoughts or the ideas of what a KKK member stand for. You know what I'm saying? In that sense of it, but I'm not on the extremes of for them or against them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm in that neutral middle space, understanding the purpose that they serve within this reality. You know what I'm saying? Within this, dream realm, matrix, whatever you want to call it. Like, I understand, their purpose. And again, because when we that's why a lot of things poke at us. I always use the example, water is one of the most life-giving things in this realm of reality, but if it's used to any extreme, whether it's extremely taken away or extremely put on you, if it's extremely taken away, you could you know uh, the bodysuit would lack, getting nourishment of water. Or if you gave too much of it, you could drown. You know what I'm saying? It's all on how you deal with it. you know What are the roles of a man and a woman? Uh, I mean, for the most part, a woman and man technically is just a physical representation of the masculine and feminine energies. You know, hence why each display more of those unique traits from their quote unquote, not say side, but like a woman. Yeah, basically that. Because I'm trying to make it sound deeper when it's that simple. And you would have to ask. Matter of fact, what's up, Miss Key? Something in particular dealing with that energy, but for the most part, you know, a quote unquote us being a quote unquote man or a quote unquote woman is just a physical representation. Because again, all this is basically consciousness expressing itself. Like, this realm in reality allows for consciousness to express itself on a physical level. And this is one of the densest levels of expression, that a being could have in that sense of it. But yeah, for the most part, again, like, it's just represent, again, a physical representation of something in the higher planes. Like that feminine and masculine energy, that positive and negative, that yang and yin, and hence, again, like, why when man and woman comes together, they have sexual intercourse, into the course, and reproduce. You know what I'm saying? Like, It's because of that, again, that representation of the masculine, feminine energies in general, and it plays out on a physical level of a man and a woman, coming together to, you know, and again, everything in this realm is a representation of the higher aspect. So the aspect of, like, women, quote unquote, being in this realm in reality before men, you know what I'm saying? And also being able to reproduce without men at one time, because they was representing the primordial aspect of, what was going on in the higher realms, because again, everything happens in those high realms and then trickles down into this reality, because again, it's slower, it vibrates slower, so it comes afterwards, hence why, again, like, our premonitions are, certain things that come to us in a fourth dimensional or above level, you know what I'm saying, like through clear cognizant thoughts, or just a clairvoyance in general. It'll come to us in a higher representation before we actually see it play out in the physical, because those realms vibrate fast. Hence, like with channeling, you'll catch a channel, or aka, catch this little channel from high self, or from a higher representation of a being, and then if you don't express it, within that moment, it could fizzle out, or the same thing like with coming from a dream, which you could work on that, and learn how to ground that information without necessarily it evaporating. But just like when you come out of the dream realm, and things are very vivid as soon as you wake up, but the longer you stay up in the physical plane, the more your dream kind of start to dwindle away. Hence why a lot of people talk about having a notebook on side of you, while you like some type of tablet or something on side of you, for as soon as you wake up, you can write these things down, and have some type of insight to work on from that perspective. But again, it starts off with you affirming that, hey, my memory is strong, and I'm gonna remember everything from my dreams from now on out, and so it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, just constantly affirming, constantly working on it. Again, like going to the like working out in the gym, because again, hence why I've been like dealing with myself a lot, is to sit down and actually apply these things in my realm, to actually work more in the astral plane, like balance my work in the astral planes and in the physical, realizing that I don't have to, quote unquote, work uh, as, quote unquote, hard in the physical aspect, because I'm lining things up in the astral realms, and I'm lining up with my inner guidance. So I'm not making decisions from the connection of my, how I say, my lower human egoic mind aspect, my temporary egoic mind aspect, that that that's trying to, like, deter me from being connected to my inner guidance, which again is no good or bad, right or wrong. That aspect exists as contrast in order for us to have an experience in the first place, you know. But yeah. So is all energy equal? Uh, that's a good question, in the sense of I mean, equal. Hmm. I would say. I mean, there's like a yes to that. I feel like the first thing that comes to mind is, you know, in some way, form, or fashion, yes. But and and then this. All right. The reason why this question is kind of hard to answer, at least for me in this moment, is because the English language and how equal could mean so many different things, or could express one definition, or multiple definitions, depending on, and especially in this context, like I'm trying to think of examples on the fly, but could say, for instance, the energy of a black obsidian is not equal to, you know, crystal quartz, or big ass crystal quartz energy is not equal to a small piece of hematite, let's just say, in that sense of it, but they all, interconnected, to that, that primordial source in that sense of it, but I would have to, get what context you're kind of speaking to or speaking from in that sense of it, you know. But yeah, like again, the energy, and that's why it's such a, because I'm thinking of other little expressions, but they're always put like this though. There's always an energy that's like equally opposing to yours, just like in the Matrix. Matter of fact, I was watching the Matrix Reloaded because, matter of fact, Netflix like dropping all that shit out right now. Hoping people get caught up in the wrong programming of some of these movies and stuff like that. When I mean wrong, let me excuse myself. Trying to get people to get caught up in this programming, subconscious programming, in a way that's unbeneficial to uh, you know their soul growth in that sense of it, or connecting with their inner source and understanding the purpose and stuff like that in this lifetime. But every energy has like a equal opposing energy to itself. Cause the movie was the movie with Samuel Jackson and Bruce Willis, Broken or Unbreakable or something like that. Samuel Jackson was, his bones and everything was fragile as fuck. Like, you stare at him hard, his bones was gonna break. And then he realized, like, all right, if I'm that breakable, there gotta be somebody in this realm that's equal and opposing in my energy, and that's unbreakable. You know what I'm saying? That was Bruce Willis' character. And, they presented this movie cool because they presented a way that didn't fall into the normal superhero, bad guy, good guy movie. But, you know, Bruce Willis realized that all these times he was like end up saving somebody and stuff like that, that was a Samuel Jackson character setting them up for this, to just to, again, like looking for that equal and opposing unbreakable aspect of himself, you know. So I could say that much, in that sense. That Glass, all right, was the sequel, you know. Yeah, it existed in that essence, but and Miss Mahogany, for the most I could say, is just within this lifetime, again, fully mastering myself and understanding uh the karmic energies of, understanding why I'm here, first and foremost. Because another thing too, this is something, I mean, of course you discuss it on some levels, but at the same time, some of these things you know keep to yourself in that sense of it. You don't have to go to explain like, oh yeah, this is all of my soul purpose and this is why, but I can say that uh my sole purpose is, basically doing what I'm doing right now. You know what I'm saying? Mastering my inner realm, mastering my inner reality, you know, and sharing it and expressing it, because I love to express myself, especially verbally, and you know, on a level that allows for others to catch insights from me expressing myself, and being that beacon, and allowing for them to, understand how to get out as well. But again, not no sense of like, oh, I'm trying to save the world type of energy. Again, it starts with being in alignment within my, within my realm. You know what I'm saying? Word to the ambulance passing. you know, it's like being in alignment within my realm and reality, master my inner universe. And again, that takes whatever uniquely it takes for me. You know what I'm saying? And it takes whatever it uniquely takes for the rest of y'all. Whatever self mastery is for you. Always point to, you'll get signs of, within your lifetime, of what's pointing to your soul purpose in this lifetime. You know, helping people with the aspect of death, and the energetic representation of it, like death to the older aspects that no longer serve us. Because again, another thing too, in order to, be an energy that helps others to heal themselves, like you gotta be wounded yourself in order to, you know what I'm saying, to be able to heal yourself, and to even be an expression that could, be a beacon for others to heal themselves, you know what I'm saying? So, that's that aspect. And I also had to realize too, not realize, like I just had to realize this, getting that reminder of always realizing, like, again, in order to be a quote unquote great teacher, is being a great student, because that's another part of my soul purpose in this lifetime, for lack of a better word, being a quote unquote teacher. But again, not getting lost in the sauce of like, oh, I gotta save the world in that sense of it. Because again, by me just mastering my inner realm and doing what I gotta do, like again, like, and doing it in alignment with myself. Like I speak to, as a little kid, I would always get signed up for being the master of ceremonies for all the plays and programs and stuff. Like I was always the person that would introduce all the acts to the stage, aka like that Papa Legba, that Beetlejuice energy, you know, and also like I was great at making people laugh and like articulating myself well with people, and expressing things straightforward, like a lot of my teachers remember me for expressing stuff that most students wouldn't express, but from a genuine aspect. Like I would tell them stuff that it could come off as disrespectful, but I was so genuinely being myself in those moments. It's like, damn, that's just, quote unquote, from this, for lack of a better word, that's Kari being Kari. But Kari is just a character, again, that's playing out a certain act within this movie. But again, those things were in my reality to show me like, hey, this is what you specialize, this is what you're great in. Even though, you're not getting it and not trying to see it, because again, I didn't like, as a little kid, I didn't like being master of ceremonies. So I would like, not, I didn't like to be on stage and be on Front Street like that. But which, as much as I probably didn't like it, I probably, again, I say probably, I did low key, like it in some way, form, or fashion, and something in me, like, deep down inside me, knew like I was made for that energy, and also my family, my earthly plane family, having a funeral home, was pointing to that aspect. And I just talked about this in a video recently too. I forgot which one. I think it was my last live video. Uh, where I went through, or the aspect of integrating energies, you know what I'm saying, and integrating the soul aspect. Because I sat down and asked myself a question, matter of fact, during the Halloween energy, because matter of fact, the veil is so thin right now. I mean, basically almost, you could say, non existent. Uh, but sit down asking myself about, like, the energies of, like, what karmic energies I'm working off, and from my mama's side of the family and my dad's side, you know, and what energies, pointing to my soul purpose, and the train, a lot of things moving, uh, within my dad's side, his mom, my grandmother, all of them were teachers, so that's pointing to the teacher aspect within me. And then all of my and I could almost probably say that this might not be for everybody, so don't, take it like that. But like your father's side of the family, that masculine energy may point to what, your purpose. Because again, the masculine energy is like being active, like in doing things. In that sense of it, what energies you meant to be actively doing in that sense of it. and the feminine energies of what energies you're here to like you know karmically release or work out from the past, because the mother aspect does represent the primordial aspect as well, like of something of the past, you know and the masculine could represent, quote unquote, the future, in that sense of it. But like because my mom's side seemed like it's about like working out a certain level of karma, because again, like my mom's side, got a Haitian lineage, what I'm saying? Like my great grandfather was Haitian, but everybody was in the Baptist church, almost like working out the karma of, reconnecting with that energy, like reconnecting with the ancestral energy and reactivating that in the bloodline, and also uh again with her father, the connection with, because basically like I tell people, for lack of a better word, because we could reincarnate into any bodysuit. We could reincarnate as a quote unquote white person or black person. It's just by majority, you know uh a lot of us may have come into a melanated bodysuit, but for the most part, too, melanin also comes from within, like it's your neuromelanin, what is that true connection, as long as you're activating and tapping into it. And again, this is from a bodysuit perspective, because again, you know, like a Nikola Tesla, and I think a Brother Panic speaking on like Tina Marie and the whole aspect with her like being quote unquote black, you know what I'm saying, but more so having soul, just within that quote unquote white bodysuit, you know what I'm saying, and hence why it's not no and how much unique. I ain't gonna say a pun, but like like everything not black and white. In that sense of it, like it's just not like, oh, all people like this is like this, and all people like that is like that. Like no, souls could uniquely travel through any type of bodysuit. And again, we talk about the divine feminine and being, the primordial mother energy, the mother energy, or just that whole aspect of God is about, reconnecting and integrating, the whole, like harmonizing the wholeness. So it's not about no one side against the other, or everything in this matrix, is connected to God. Like, or everything in, everything is connected to God except for those black people over there, or except for those white people over there, or except for those cockroaches. Everything is a part of source except for the government. Like no, everything. Again, we playing a game with ourselves. You know what I'm saying? But again, uniquely spread out into these little, in quote unquote, individual unique expressions of source, in order to have a certain experience, and to have a aspect of growth, and also having a level of ignorance, what I'm saying, in order to you know uh be able to learn. Because again, if we came down here knowing everything, where we all look the same, talk the same, walk the same, just everything the same, like again, like no polarities, so everything would smell the same, everything would taste the same, which again would be no experience, and they would kind of have that energy of like, what's the point, you know like that's a part of the whole experience. We acted in the movie, and that a lot of my earliest like DMT trips, would kind of always express that to me, like in the wholeness and awareness of the situation of playing the game. Like, you understand that the game is a game, and not to take it seriously. And at the same time, though, as I'm playing the game, I know that as CJ, if I'm carrying out a certain mission, I'm not gonna allow the quote unquote opposing side, you know, stop me from doing my mission. You know what I'm saying? It's just without getting lost in the sauce that, hey, I'm playing the game. Like at the end of the day, because that's where again, like that level of just continuously growing, because some of us may stop at the the aspect of like, oh, just learn about uh you know Sanskrit and the Hindu diaspora, so to speak, or pantheon, I should say. and then or just learn about Kemet and this and that, feeling like, oh, well, I learned this about spirituality, I learned that, but it goes even more. You know what I'm saying? Think of how great Source is in that sense of it, like, and to only feel like, oh yeah, once you just get to this part in this game, then that's it. Once you learn about Kemet, that's a wrap. Now you done made it. Like, no, it's continuously, you know what I'm saying, it's a continuous growth. And back to what I said earlier, as a being in a higher realm, you know what I'm saying, I'm not gonna allow, uh, you know, the beings that don't, get it or haven't really, like too immature to be in this realm, be allowed to come in this realm. And it's just by, again, like on algorithm, because that's why computer programs always point back to example of this realm, you know, because like we were programmers, computer programmers, and wrote up basically algorithms and creating this, this experience, you know what I'm saying? The algorithm of like, hey, when you eat vegetables, it's gonna be more alkaline, but when you take coffee and roast it, it's gonna be more acidic. You know, neither good or bad, right or wrong. This is just a part of the algorithm within this game. Cause you also got a back door within that algorithm of like, and if a being reaches a place where they are masterful in their mental realm, they could actually drink coffee and it be alkaline, or they could eat a plant and it be acidic, depending on how they make it look within their mind, within their realm, you know what I'm saying, in that sense, you know. But it's all, again, like a program, game, like a act in a movie. I mean, all the different analogies could apply, you know what I'm saying? And we basically all right in some way, form, or fashion, somebody who believes that Jesus is real within their realm in reality, because we like walking universes as well. So within their realm in reality, Jesus is real. And again, it's not up for me, because that's like the only energy that, you know, for lack of a better word, when I'm using free will right here, you know what I'm saying, again, and understanding the destiny aspect, but like the only quote unquote, you could say, evil, for lack of a better word, and for another lack of a better word, is something that's taken away or trying to influence somebody away from their own quote unquote free will, for lack of a better word. But like, hence why, again, with me sharing information, is not for me to try to convince you of anything. Like, you don't have to believe a motherfucking word I say in all 1,500 of my videos. You could feel like all that shit false or a lie, whatever. Like, you don't have to. Even if at some points in my growth I probably was coming off as, hey, you should listen to me. Like, nah. And that, again, that's also an aspect too, in realizing to be like water, and that, you know, it's adapting and constantly flowing and changing. Like, some information you realize you was dealing with in one way, well, when you continuously grew, realize like, oh shit, that wasn't the most beneficial way to perceive that situation. You know, like I think about somebody recently in a video speaking on how they were, looking at like 5G from a fear mongering aspect. And I say a fear monger, but like, like, hey, beware of the 5G, be scared of the 5G or this and that. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you got to be prepared for 5G. And then they, spoke on how they realized, like, oh shit, in that part of my growth, I was kind of speaking on it in a fear mongering way, and later realizing, like, oh no, like if we are as powerful as we know ourselves to be, then it ain't about like, like, oh, the 5G and the chemtrails is gonna hurt you, because you plugging that, because that's the whole game of the opposing aspects within this game, is to program you with fear. You know what I'm saying? Because that's another thing. Like, uh, the only thing to fear, quote unquote, is fear itself. And even fear in essence have a purpose. Like it's that opposing aspect to have an experience. You know what I'm saying? Because if fear didn't exist, we wouldn't get to a place of being courageous. You know what I'm saying? Like the equal and opposing. You know what I'm saying? So it's uh again, stepping into that aspect of being courageous towards all of these aspects. Because again, you sitting down, think about like this, like the slave who who sitting down like, oh, you better not cross the gun line because you know boss gonna whip you or boss gonna shoot you, this and that. Like when there's like 1,000 slaves on the plantation and only 20 overseers, and even though they got guns, they don't have like over 1,000 bullets to lay down everybody. But because everybody mind is pimp, and then you got somebody right there along with you, like, oh yeah, you gotta be scared of master. You know what I'm saying? Then again, once you get got mentally, then that's a wrap. You know what I'm saying? You gonna do the rest. And think about everything we say within our growth. Like, for one, the growth is simple, and we always speak to working easy and not hard. You know what I'm saying? So with that analogy, think about how, like, if I'm from the perspective of trying to oppress people, I'm gonna work easy and not hard. You know what I'm saying? And hence why all it takes is a quote unquote 1% to rule things, cause they learned how to work easy and not hard. Like if I could just plug in this shit into their subconscious mind and get it into their brain, just like a genie or a Pokemon, they gonna do the work magically for us. And we ain't even gotta do shit but watch them control themselves and constantly implement more and more subconscious programming for them to herd themselves, you know what I'm saying? And hence why they try to make the, tapping into like voodoo or, you know, certain aspects of, the darkness, or like I think of the Baphomet aspect and being a goat. Like when you think about a goat climbs up the mountain and scale a mountain. Goats don't move in herds, a goat move how it move, it could scale. You ever saw them little pictures of a goat where like he like the mountain barely even got enough for it to even sit on, but he like sitting on the side of the mountain like and climbing up, compared to being a sheep where the only thing a sheep staring at is the back of another sheep's ass, you know what I'm saying? And hence why everything is promoted to be like, oh, we gotta do this, we gotta do that, like bad herd, you know what I'm saying? And that's the whole aspect, again, of like in, not say indirectly, but for the most part, like as you work on yourself and do what you got to do in your realm, in reality that energy is going to become a beacon, and others could see it as example, you know what I'm saying? Like to grow from it in that sense. Again, because nobody could change, or look at that aspect as well. Like, you know it, everything would be fucked if this reality of things was about somebody having to change somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, hey, Universal, your assignment is so and so, this and that, and this and that. You gotta go around and you gotta change them. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta influence them and change them. Like, like, and looking at how things naturally are, because even in my own reality, again, whenever I was popping Xanax and drinking 40s, ain't nobody was about to come to me and talk about, hey, you know, stop drinking, that's bad for you, and stop popping them Xans, that's bad for you. Man, I'd have popped another Xan in their face and washed it down with a 40 ounce. Like, what, man, what you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Because again, it wasn't nobody else's job to change me, you know and it starts with ourselves, and that's where, again, where things get pushed, and where the some people, and I done brought it up, but in the clear aspect of like where Martin Luther King coming off as like an agent, because yeah, at one point, not being no agent in that sense, but just where he was, for whatever reason, again, well, for the you could say for karmic reasons, again, cause and effect reasons for his soul, and also just for, destiny of, things playing out in this realm. But he was lined up with the aspect of like, we gotta do this and we gotta do that, when it was, really about, us. And he had a quote about like, bro, I done led my people into a burning building or some shit like that. And he started to realize what was going on, and once he started to realize what was going on, that's when, you know he ended up transitioning. But that was a part of his purpose, you know what I'm saying, a part of, what he signed up for, you know because again, you also have to be, for whatever is lined up in your act in this movie. In order for something to be able to touch you in any way, form, or fashion, you gotta invite it into your reality to do so. You gotta fear it, and fear monger yourself into, you know, or be signed up for it on some other type of level. Like when we talk about the Michael Jacksons and the Princes of the world, where you wonder like, well, damn, they had to get killed or this and that, but they was also signed up on a contract to, be along with those opposing energies in some way, form, or fashion. And then when they started talking out about like, this and that, they started, going back on the contract that they signed up for. Again, all a part of their purpose. Like you check out my video again, like there's a human level aspect of what goes on. Like of course you could say, oh, Michael Jackson dyed his skin because he hated being black and this and that, and he was wounded. That's the human perspective of it. But on a higher level, man, his soul, he's on a soul mission. You know what I'm saying? Like as a part of his soul mission is to be something that almost like an undercover agent, so to speak. Because just like spy versus spy, like no agent is either good or bad, right or wrong. They're just opposing energies that allow for this experience to even be. You know what I'm saying? But like, that was that energy of like, all right, I'm gonna come down and create a certain type of bodysuit that's gonna look a certain way, that's gonna allow for everybody to open up to me, and I'm gonna get into the game, you know, on such a high level, and then I'm gonna, start exposing things and make songs like all I wanna say is that they don't really care about it. You know what I'm saying? Start exposing these things. You know what I'm saying? Like, uh, Bob Marley's soul chose to come down into a bodysuit that was partially, quote unquote melanated and partially non-melanated because his dad was a quote unquote white man. You know what I'm saying? But that allowed for the door to be open to him a little bit, enough for him to get on the grand stage and start to expose shit. You know what I'm saying? And that's his mission. You know, it's like that's his destiny or destination. Destiny, destination, soul purpose. You know, that's the whole aspect. But but yeah. Oh damn, y'all been talking for a second. Oh yeah, man, it's not about my mug, Miss Tiffany Woods. I know, you know, but it's the words I'm speaking on. Again, the physical realm is a representation of the spiritual. So even the physical is spiritual. Everything is spiritual. You know, we're just in a realm of reality that expresses it in a more dense aspect. Because even again, going into the higher dimensions, like think about it. When you're dreaming and having an experience of meeting somebody in the higher planes, you're still in an individual experience. You know what I'm saying? It's just in a higher vibrational, dimension or realm. You know what I'm saying? But it's still a unique individual uh, expression. Is just from, again, like a grade higher. You know what I'm saying? Like again, it's no longer tub grade. It's, you know master's degree, doctorate degree in college stage. You know what I'm saying? Where you understand the oneness more, but still having a unique individual experience nonetheless. You know what I'm saying? So everything is spiritual. Yeah, the Necronomicon. I don't get too deep into, because I haven't read the Necronomicon. I just understand uh, the aspect of H.P. Lovecraft and what he was speaking on a deeper aspect. And again, how that template, again, because even looking at like somebody might be, not say afraid to watch this video because it's in the dark, but it's like all the subconscious programming to scare you away from the dark, on multiple levels, because that could scare you away from meditation. You know what I'm saying? If you scared of the dark, also scare you away from dark people or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Again, it's not to make it about no race in that sense of it. You know, And again, understanding the wholeness of what's going on, but not to be caught up in one part of the whole. Like understanding the part so you can have a better understanding of the whole. Is it good to have fixed beliefs? Uh, Technically, you always want to be fluent like water. You know what I'm saying, and not be just. I put like this where it may be beneficial to you to like stay within a connection of a certain understanding. You know what I'm saying? Because a belief is like a thought form that's just practiced over and over to a point of you believing it. Like I have the thought of uh, ain't no woman want to talk to me, and I could have that thought once, and then I had that thought again, and then I practiced that thought over a week, and then I practiced that thought over a month, to the point where it just becomes a belief that, hey, no girl want to mess with me. And it becomes something that actually, again, for lack of a better word, manifests, or more so you align with that energy due to your destiny, whatever the case may be, for lack of a better word, because you practice that thought form and it turned into a belief. And again, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. Like you come across certain information that that aligns and that's very beneficial to you. It'll help in that sense of it, but you don't want to be fixed to the point where when new information comes up that that may debunk something that you previously was a previous belief in that sense of it. Because again, the word, and that's just for the etymology of it, be lie, believe, be lie, you know but that whole aspect of you just don't want, you want to be fluent like water. Because again, you might have the perspective of being fixed at looking at things a certain way, and then your inner guidance system, aka the higher self that you are, may bring up some information within you, and then you're not really listening to it, so it'll show up to you externally through somebody, and trying to show you like, hey, you might want to switch up the way you holding on to this information. you know because that's why everything is about, now is to vibrate, what I'm saying, not too far in the future, not too far in the past, but again, that aspect of now and what's best for my now moment. What's best for one now moment may not be the best for another now moment, in that sense of it, for lack of a better word. Like that's the whole aspect. Yeah, and that's something. I mean, I think a lot of us have gotten to a place of like probably being fixated in one little area of of information or something of that nature. Again, now, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And at the same time, though, you just want to be, again, like water, just be open to transformation. Because water is one of the things that could actually become a solid or a gas. You know what I'm saying? Like it vaporizes and become like a gas, a steam, or it could be frozen and become solid, or it could be wet. Like water is is adaptable and it transforms. You know, and that's just that aspect. Shout out to Bruce Lee. Kind of one of his quotes was like something about being like water. You know, and questioning everything. Again, and it goes back to balance. Like it's about balance. You want to question things, but when you go to the extreme of it, then you're not going align with things that you should be aligning with. Again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You're not trying to overly question things that are working for you, in that sense of it. But you do want to question any and all aspects, but not to the point of just being extremist or being extreme skeptical, you know in like everything. You know what I'm saying? Again, you don't want to be extreme on anything. you know uh Again, it's about that middle space, and why a lot of aspects of spirituality, go back to speaking that middle aspect. Because the middle pillar, in essence, like you got the two pillars. You know what I'm saying? Like Jakim and Boaz, or or the masculine and feminine, and then or the mother and father, and then in the middle is the child. Shout out to Kambada and Brother Rich with the the Holy Ghost album and Holy Ghost 2 album cover got the little baby walking in between the two pillars, you know what I'm saying? And hence why, being childlike, and I remember having I didn't post it because it had too much wind blowing, but I remember I had a acid trip where the whole trip was basically in that moment. It was the aspect of the masculine and feminine, not necessarily like like balancing itself out, but almost in lack of a better word for human words of it, beefing, and just like like parents, because I remember myself being like this as a child. Like I wouldn't take my mama's side or my daddy's side, you know understanding that, like, hey, my mom got a certain perspective and my dad got a certain perspective. Sometimes my mom gonna be truthful about how she expressed things about my dad, and sometimes she gonna be on a little tangent of how she want to see things about my dad, and sometimes my dad is gonna be truthful about what my mom be doing, and sometimes he gonna be on a little tangent of, like, uh again, like with electric and magnet energy. The magnet energy knows how to be magnetic, the electrical energy knows how to be electric. you know uh but it's not for us to see anyone as wrong or right or good or bad or one is better than the other. It's understanding, being in the middle and seeing the balance and how both of them coming together brings everything together. Hence, again, like sex, the act of sex is the blending of the masculine and feminine energies coming together and creating something. You know, it's that aspect. But yeah, again, questioning things, ain't nothing wrong with that. You just don't want to be extreme about it. Thank you, Alyssa Antoinette, for that donation. Yeah, and I'm also doing consultations as well, spiritual consultations. Basically, for the most part, those who are new to spirituality and just wondering where's the first step to start. In that sense of it. I'm gonna post the rates I have, and again, like I done told everybody that I done dealt with. I done did like 3 of them so far, but it goes to that aspect of realizing, like, you know, for one, you got your own inner guidance system. But again, starting off early, you may it's in alignment for you to get some help from a consultation or whatever. But like I tell anybody, I'm like, again, I want to help you to the point where you don't even have to get another consultation from me. You know what I'm saying? Like, in that sense, like, I want to you know be helpful in that manner. Again, not like these doctors that's half-ass fixing you, giving you like a little prescription pill here with all these fucking side effects, or being a little unhealthy and having you come back to them. Like, I want to help in a and going to help in the sense of, like, where you don't even have to come back. Like, again, helping you to strengthen your connection with your inner guidance system. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not about me having no people follow me around. Like, again, like that preacher aspect, from the skillet to the frying pan. A lot of religious aspects, to each his own, because that's a part of some people. Cause and effect as a soul, or aka karmic energy in this lifetime, is to be either under a certain guru and feeling like they can't take a piss without asking somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's within some people's path. While some people, to a point where they realize, like, all right, I did that in past lives while I was following a guru around. It's time for me to get in tune more with my inner guidance system. You know, it's it's all to your unique design in this lifetime, and only your inner guidance, could really, really tap you into it. But again, if you not really paying attention to the inner voice and that inner guidance, you know, we'll get it'll pop up to us in an external form. But again, remembering that this is a reflection of something inside of us, as well. And that's what I was gonna say earlier for myself, like, making sure I don't fall into that know-it-all vibration. You know what I'm saying? Because again, always realizing I'm constantly learning, and how much of a contradiction it is to be somebody that, in essence, considered like a teacher. But again, like the teaching aspect comes from constantly being a student and constantly learning, and never feeling like, oh, I done learned it all. You know what I'm saying? I'm done. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, there's always something to learn, and you can learn things from any and all aspects of being. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that would contradict, again, like what you put out comes back to you. So if you start to feel like, oh, all right, I don't need to learn from anybody or anything else, you know what I'm saying? Again, of course, you want to be aligned with your inner guidance system, in that sense of it is at the same time, not shunning like certain aspects that'll come to you, in a sense that may have some information that that helps give you insight. Again, just like learning from a from a child or anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a constant learning situation. And if I shut that down, like, how could I be a teacher? You know, because then people will reflect my energy of like, all right, if I feel like I don't have anything to learn, or there's nothing, no insight I can't gain from, from a external source as well. Again, not to be extreme, but you can gain insight from a book, or from like a YouTube video, or a certain lecture or seminar or something like that. You know what I'm saying? It's just not to make that the end all be all, and always remember your inner guidance. But again, like, if I feel like I can't learn anything, or I'm done learning, then people reflect that and be like, oh yeah, well, nobody gonna learn nothing from you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you present yourself as a teacher, but if you know it all, then you'll get that energy of know it alls, reflecting back within your realm of reality, in that sense of it. Like, I can't call myself, you know, helping others as a teacher, but then I'm not constantly, growing and learning myself, you know. And hence why, again, the expression is like the masterful teachers, quote unquote, is those quote unquote teachers that always know that they're always learning, and that they're a constant student in the game as well. You gotta, again, you know, get, how can I say, release a lot of that pride in that sense of it, and realize that, again, you could constantly learn, and be observant, like coming across certain people, places, or things, be observant without, without judgment. Because again, in some way, form, or fashion, if something is present within your reality, is there for a reason. You just gotta observe, and get with your inner guidance, and see, why is this showing up to me? You know, why is this crackhead trying to lecture me about about uh why is this crackhead trying to lecture me about bicycle tires? You know what I'm saying? Like, cause again, and the reason why I use that example, cause you may see that on your spiritual growth. It's like, oh, that shit. Like, why in the fuck would somebody try to? That has nothing to do with knowledge of my soul. But again, that being is in your realm for a reason. Maybe it's to show you how much you dislike to, you know, uh, be a listener as much as a talker. It may be just that simple message. You know, like, but it's some kind of message within, any and all your interactions within this physical aspect. So, definitely have that awareness. But if it resonates with you, you know what I'm saying, go with it. Acupuncture deals with the meridians in the body, you know what I'm saying, and hitting certain points and freeing up certain energies. You know, again, you could tap into this through meditation, where you may not physically. And again, it starts off, like, you get more and more. Again, like lifting weights, you'll get more and more vivid about it as you go. But you could visualize chi energy moving throughout your body. Visualize light moving through your body in like little branches, like, and see, like, where you got your five main points, like your head, your arms, and your legs, and seeing like a main branch, moving through, like, say for instance, like moving through my legs, that's like one line, and then there's little branches that stem off from that. You know what I'm saying? Seeing light move through that, And if you feel like like your inner vision not as good, just keep provoking, or not say provoking, but keep, working with your imagination and your visualizations, doing things to, and realize it's not hard. It just takes the intention and actually doing it, actually applying what we learning, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could get help from a certain tool, as in a crystal, you know what I'm saying? Think of apophyllite, blue calcite, amethyst, blue kyanite, selenite, scolasite, danbarite, petalite, to name a few, that may help with amplifying visions. But again, also again, like we're using the tool not gonna do the work for you, and you gotta realize that it is just a tool and not two. Like, it's not gonna do every, like, you have to apply the tool. Like, you could have a hammer in your hand, but if you're not swinging the hammer, you just got a hammer in your hand, you know what I'm saying? Not doing shit with it, So having an understanding of, like, how to apply that tool and actually use that tool for the benefit of your growth and that sense of it. But yeah, acupuncture, and again, if it resonates with you, that may be an alignment for you, you know. All right, Miss Mahogany, peace and blessing. What's up, Mr. West? You say you want to find a past lives person. And Miss Key, I'll be straight up with you. You know, you may, feel you want a consultation, but you pretty good with yourself. Again, and you're a reflection of my energy, in a sense of, like, I be having to practice confidence in myself, because it be moments where, you know, again, like, hence why I done kind of slowed down with watching a lot of videos, or like I make sure it's a video that's gonna really present something that I haven't heard before, that could really bring some insight into my realm. But like, I listened to a video and I'm like, damn, they saying everything I said in my video 2 years ago. Said it exactly like me, and not to say nobody better or not, but let's just say that I feel like, damn, I even expressed it in a way that people could even grasp it more. But because this person presents their YouTube channel in a way that's more, you know, uh, seems like it's more organized and stuff like that. And that's in my reality too, seeing that, like, for one, to not compare myself, and to also see, well, yeah, if I feel some kind of way about that, maybe I need to present my stuff in a more organized way as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, goes back to that comparison stuff that could throw us off. But just having confidence in your own energies, like, at the end of the day, that's what it takes. Because a lot of times what happens is we feel like a meditation won't work, or visualizing something won't work, because it's an inner negating energy, an inner doubtful energy that's trying to being that opposer, being that contrast. you know Again, pressure either bust pipes or it makes a diamond. We gotta be making, we want to be making sure we're making diamonds right now, if that's in alignment for our destiny. But again, I hear you, Miss Key, but you definitely, again, because that's why, even with consultations, I'm like, that's only for beings that's kind of mostly more so just starting off and stuff like that, and just really have no clue at how to start and where to start at and things of this nature. But for the most part, a lot of us then got on point and on point, but we kind of we may fall into these places of doubting ourselves. So we kind of feel like we need some type of uh, consultation in some way, form, or fashion. And again, though, always understanding, like, all is whole. So even like, this is the illusion of being separate. So by getting a consultation, you're basically still talking to yourself. You're just talking to yourself in the form of universal frequencies, instead of just your straight up inner voice. So it still all goes back to speaking to yourself. But again, at the end of the day, trusting and having confidence in your own inner realm and universe. I think about the comic book, what it was, Voodoo Man. He was like one of the Sorcerer Supremes, uh, like other than Doctor Strange, and connected to the voodoo aspect, and he was getting beat in one of the comics because basically off of the simple fact that he had lost confidence in his own magic. As a matter of fact, again, seeing how that issue of that comic book was speaking to me, as well. What I'm saying, like saying, hey, bro, you need to be confident. Just remain confident and keep a memory too, because that's where memory comes in. Is like, you do these videos and stuff like this, but you gotta remember these things and making sure you're constantly applying these things, and you won't feel that lack of confidence or feel, you know, uh, yeah, it's just a lack of confidence and trust in your own inner guidance system. It's like building up that trust and that confidence and dealing with our own inner guidance, more and more. Yeah, because the bracelets, that's a tool, what I'm saying? The crystal bracelets, that ain't, a crystal could be for, helping to get over old patterns that no longer serve us. But if we're not actually taking the work, like actually making sure we do the work, then it's just a crystal. It's gonna be making it easier for us to do it. Again, as being a tool, just like a screwdriver makes it easier to screw in instead of using your hand. It's gonna make it easier, but if you're not doing the work, then the work not gonna get done. The crystal just be sitting there, like again, citrine. Citrine will give you confidence, boost your childlike behavior, and help with speaking more confident. But if you're not actually partaking in those energies and actually working on them, then the crystal just gonna be sitting there not doing nothing, and that'll become a lesson within itself to show you, like, like if you buying these crystals and not actually like working with them, or having a certain intention and focus on how you're working with certain ones, then it's just, doing nothing, you know, you're handicapping yourself in that sense. I know, yeah, it's no Miss Butterfly, you're not the only one that can't see me. I'm in the dark. Purposely. I'm in the dark. Yeah, the Saturn return at the age of 30. And also remember that too with astrology. We learn about these different aspects of astrology. Uh, and again, go with it how it uniquely resonates for you. It's just making sure that we're not locking ourselves in to all these astrological aspects. Because again, like if Mercury retrograde, because I use that one because that's one that just a lot of people like, oh shit, Mercury retrograde, this and that. But it's like I'm not gonna be scared of like communicating. Like I'm not, oh, it's Mercury retrograde, so I'm not gonna talk to nobody. Like again, like you gotta make sure you standing within your power and understanding that again, for one, these are representations of energies that exist within you and not necessarily external planet in that sense of in that sense of it. But again, understanding not to how they say that, place all your cards in one. I forgot all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. Not to place all your eggs in one basket of like, oh, I just gotta, before I take a shit, before I pluck a boog out of my nose, before I go walk down the street, before I get pregnant, or me and my spouse decide to have children, I gotta, check out every astrological aspect, and then, in every second, because then you'll take yourself out of your now moment, and then you'll start to, align with, in essence, creating your reality through that dependence and that sense of it, and that's a lesson within itself. These energies, you know, not to be used into the, again, we don't want to be extreme with anything, you know, no extremes. but yeah, by the age of 30 is when Saturn has made its full transit through, all the zodiac houses or zodiac energies, and that's why a lot of us, when we reach the age of 30, we have that responsible and accountable vibe of like, all right, it's time for me to make some shake in my life, whatever, in that sense of it. Yeah, I mean, it's still, again, it has some type of connection, you know what I'm saying? But you just don't want to feel like, oh, all right, because it's a full moon outside, the lunatic's out, so I'm not going to go outside. You know, like, think about, just remember that you are connected to, and you are an aspect of the, so primordial source energy. And again, that's like giving energy to the quote unquote devil in that sense of it. And again, just for the explanation of it, it's like, oh, you know, the devil got me doing this. The devil, well, you know how powerless you making quote unquote God, which again, there's no separation between it. I'm just giving you an example of how some people may speak of it in that illusion of like, oh, well, the devil say this, or the devil working on this like that, or again, Mercury retrograde, so I quote unquote can't do this, or you know my Saturn ain't returned yet, so I don't know if I should do this. It's like, bro, don't let it handicap you in that sense. Use it to your benefit. Again, not being extreme in that realm. And again, back to each his own. You know what I'm saying, on how you, what's destined for you in this lifetime, and how you should work with it. You know what I'm saying? Because it could be used as a magical tool. If I know a certain energy is coming off a certain way, I work with a certain energy to be amplified if I know a certain quote unquote astrological aspect is going on inside my universe. Inside my inner universe, reflecting outwardly. But for the most part, again, you don't want to get lost in the sauce of that. Again, and remembering that for the most part, we just kind of getting out our own way of feeling like it's so much to do, as much as it's just like, again, tapping into that inner gnosis, that having that inner dialogue, and asking ourselves, like, again, clearing our chakras, making sure we balancing and harmonizing our chakras, and removing trauma and derooting trauma, like not just cutting cards, but derooting trauma from our, inner universe. Matter of fact, I always say that like this. My queen, Tatiana, aka Love Language, she she got me more hip to that aspect of like derooting instead of just cutting cards, and also the aspect of integrating, all the past lives, and again, not being judgmental towards those aspects of yourself, and actually talking to, because again, like the veil is thin or basically gone, so we interacting with the multi-dimensional aspects of our being, and hence why it be so important for us to have such a strong awareness in these things. Because when we're not aware, we just think, oh, I'm just going through this because I'm just going through it, when there's actually, a certain past life in essence that's coming up, what I'm saying, that's causing this, causing you to do a certain thing, or a certain past trauma, you know uh within this lifetime or whatever. But it's speaking to healing that inner mother, inner father, and inner child aspect. And again, it's sitting there and actually talking to that aspect, like, hey, the 5-year old me, you know uh it's okay that you piss your pants in front of class. You don't have to be constantly scared to stand in front of a group of people anymore, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was a part of our experience in that moment, and it's all good. We no longer have to be scared to stand up in front of a crowd of people. Like, actually, in whichever way form, I'm just giving, present an example. But you know, like, actually talking and having those visualizations. You know what I'm saying? Like, seeing the masculine and feminine energies give each other a hug within your body. You know what I'm saying? Like however it works for you uniquely. You know what I'm saying? Where you at in your growth? Because again, we all uniquely in different places of our growth and deal with things in a uniquely different way. Even though as a whole we kind of basically doing the same thing. We may deal with it in a unique way that may be a little different in that sense of it. But music definitely is a strong connection. Matter of fact, again, treating the crystals are like, matter of fact, crystals are out here working and on the experience just like, us, you know what I'm saying? In that sense of it. So it's like sitting there and, again, like, I remember like after I went to Southern Homecoming, if you see my Instagram, I went to, and that was like on some, soul retrieval or integrating the soul and healing. I would say not healing necessarily inner child in that sense, but I mean to some extent, but just healing that inner aspect, that inner college student, you know, that felt like, that feels like, and there's more than just that, you know what I'm saying? That feels like, oh, I gotta, you know, go to these events like this still and do all these different things. Like it's cool for us to still have fun, of course, you know what I'm saying? It's just again seeing it within my realm of reality. That was more so of that, inner college student still needing some healing. You know what I'm saying? And that was more so again like because it's not us being against our past lives or against, you know, these aspects of us needing healing. Is actually to, again, in order to do the proper diagnosis, you have to acknowledge, and the key word within acknowledge is knowledge, you know what I'm saying? And diagnosis, the key word gnosis, to know, you know what I'm saying, what's going on, acknowledge it, you know, ask yourself, like, hey, what fears do I still have? You know what I'm saying? Do I really truly fear this? Because again, your conscious mind could say, oh man, I'm not scared of crawfish. Crawfish don't scare me. But then somebody show you a crawfish and you still jump, that means that fear still exists in your subconscious. So sit down and like ask stuff like what meditations I could do, or what, you know like how can I heal this inner aspect of me that's still fearful of crawfish. You know what I'm saying? Like how can I get over this trauma of a past life of being a slave, so I'm always doing things from a slave mentality still, because that aspect of my past life as a slave is still coming up, still like, you know, uh, causing little things within this now reality in this lifetime because it's unhealed, and I need to talk to that aspect of myself, and and show it love, and and again not place judgment on that aspect of myself, you know. But yeah, but that's basically it, y'all. I'm about to you know basically done for the night. I'm also gonna post a video that I did earlier about how a situation. So if you follow me on Instagram, you saw when I did go to Southern Homecoming game, like one of the cool aspects of where I came across a bird that actually allowed for me to pet it. You know, and that was my first time that ever happened to me. And then later I came across a dead bird. But again, that's a whole other video. I'm not even gonna no spoiler, but I'm gonna post that video after this video finished loading. Uh, remember to hit the like button if you're vibing with the videos, any and all videos, to help them come up whenever you search and to come up in the algorithms. And for me to go back and look at my stats and see what videos people really vibing with. Also, any and all donations is greatly appreciated. Got my donation link underneath in the description of all my videos, and definitely I'm gonna have it in this video. Uh, Also, still got the promo. I'm working at endorsement promo with the essential oils. There's no gimmick, no gain. Go check out the if you're interested, you get 3 bottles of oil for $3 basically, and a free ebook. Real authentic essential oils. Matter of fact, I'm working with 6 different ones now, and I also get I get some funds for every time my promo code get used. So you'll be helping in that way and helping yourself. Again, you're getting 3 essential oils that may cost 15 a bottle. You're getting it for $1. You know, so definitely check out that. And again, all donations greatly appreciated. Don't forget to hit the little bell button if you want notifications every time I do a video or do a live video. And also, subscribe if you're vibing with the channel. Again, to each his own. If it resonate with you, take what resonate, leave what don't. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to try to influence your consciousness in any way, form, or fashion. You gotta, it's your own inner guidance. I just happen to be a reflection of some energy that exists within you. Because if we're not catching the message inside, sometimes it'll come to us as a person, place, or thing outside of us. You know what I'm saying? It's about the balance and wholeness of the being in the middle, being neutral, being now, being unjudgmental, you know, uh, releasing fear, transmuting trauma, integrating our soul. Again, that's part of the whole aspect. It's not us against them, because you are us and you are them. you know, uh, like the quote unquote oppressing energy or opposing energy is something that you created within this reality for experience. So it's not for you to technically be against anything, but at the same time, again, playing the game, understanding that though, like by being whole and by not being, like you holding a certain energetic space, within your universe, that's how you be that beacon, aka that that reflects a certain thing outwardly, you know, as well. And also, I have a Patreon page, and I have the link to my Patreon page. My first tier starts off at $3 a month. I just recently had a 2 hour and 45 minute video I did on the aspect of free will and destiny. That's pretty good. Also, some other videos that's not on YouTube, of course. But yeah. All right, y'all. Happy now. Now's the vibrate. You already know. Not too far in the future, not too far in the past. Right now, y'all. Peace, peace.